doing? It's Luke from lukecurtis.co.uk, and I've been building a tethering box over the last couple of months. I can't take full gratitude for it because I've got the idea of a few other photographers that have done it extraordinarily well, but because I shoot tethered, I needed a solution to be able to take my tether setup with me wherever I go to make sure I can always deliver the best possible work. So this is the box that I've got, and I'm going to walk you through the setup. So in terms of what I have here, I have a Peli 1510. I've not customised the wheels yet. I've had a couple of people say to me that you should customise the wheels and put rollerblade wheels in there because these are quite chunky and they're very rigid. So when they hit the ground, there's definitely a solid bounce back. Whereas if you use the rubberized wheels that you would get on rollerblades, it tends to be a little bit friendlier on the case and the stuff that's inside. So that's something that I may do at a later date. But in terms of what I have going on inside, if I spin it around, as you can see, I collect a load of stickers from all the gigs and stuff that I do. It's just personalising it a little bit for me. So if I whip it open, and then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stick something underneath it to be able to prop it up so you can definitely have a good look inside and see what it's all about. And then I'll walk you through the entire setup and how I use it all. So bear with us 2 seconds. Let me just prop this bad boy up like so, and you'll probably be able to get a look inside. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come over to the side and start walking you through what's in there and why it's in there. So start off, I've got the top itinerary sort of like netting because it's very useful for holding different bits in. So I have business cards, little things like a pocket hotspot, so I can create my own hotspot effectively, and people can join in, and it's great for sharing content and things like that. So that's really useful if you're stuck, you know, in a remote location and people want to get onto the internet. You can hotspot your phone to that and create a Wi-Fi network that multiple people can get on and share at good speeds. I then have a speaker. I love listening to music whenever I'm sort of out and doing a shoot. So it's literally just a Bluetooth speaker. I can connect it like so, and away I go playing music. So I'll run just a little bit of music coming through, just connected by Bluetooth, simple as that. Then in here I've got things like spare chargers. I've got an X-Rite colour checker, so I can basically make sure I'm using the correct colours or I'm using the correct colour profiles when I'm shooting. Pretty cool. So I've got one of those in there just for keep safe. Then over in here, a Joby. You never know when you might need one of these chaps. And also a pen. Like you forget how important pens are, and people tend to overlook it. So it's always worth just having one on your person. You never know when you might need it. And in terms of other bits and bobs I've got going on, so I'm using the Trekpak custom inlay, and I've customised this specifically for how I want to set it up. If I tip it up, you have a little look inside. You can see how I've customised it. On the top here is my Mac. So what I will do is I'll strap this guy, cleverly bolted down with a couple of these. If I pop this out, that's my Mac there, looks I'll tether to. In here I have a black rapid shoulder strap so I can sort of look after my camera when it's on my body. A light meter, very useful to have. My camera, so in here I've got the A7R2. It's got the grip and a 50mm, so that fits very snugly in there, which is great, and my Mac can sit over the top. Triggering system for whatever lights I decide to take with me. An iPad. iPad mini is amazing. I'm going to show you why it's amazing as well, because what I can effectively do by using Capture One, I can create a hotspot from my Mac. My iPad mini can connect to that, and as I'm taking pictures, if I'm with an artist and they've got a manager with them, the manager can sit with the iPad and they can look through the images as I'm shooting. And that way they don't really get involved in the shoot and they don't slow things down or cramp anyone's creative style. And they can also 5-star and 1-star them. So at the end of the shoot, I know which images they like, and that helps with my post-production. So I'll show you how that works in a second. Over this side, a little selfie stick. This is a Benro selfie stick, the BK10. I think this is personally amazing. I used to hate selfie sticks, but the more and more I get into blogging, this is amazing. And it's amazing because it's got a little Bluetooth trigger here that detaches, which you can use to take pictures or start video recording. It turns into a tripod, which is great, but it's also telescopic. So I can literally adjust the height, I can talk to camera, You know, if I want to hold it as a selfie stick, I can, but it's more for setting it up professionally so I can do pieces to camera. And it's got a ball head at the top as well, which will allow me to adjust how I would place my camera. So for instance, you know, I wanted to do a piece to camera, I could squeeze that chap in there, do it landscape, or I can do it portrait. Literally is probably one of the best buys I've ever bought. It cost me like £20 at a show, amazing. So if you get a chance, the BK10 Benro selfie stick with tripod, absolutely amazing. Then probably my absolute favourite bit of kit of all time is this guy here. So my Tethertools cable, a few spare batteries, you never know when you may need them, and then a hard drive which is going to allow us to tether to. So because I shoot tethered, this is basically all the kit I would need bar the lights. So with this case and then a case for my lights, that's effectively all I need, and I can go out and shoot on location anywhere tethered with 2 bags, which is absolutely amazing. So you take the comforts and technologies that you would normally get in a studio, you can take those with you on site, which is brilliant. So it means you can always produce really fantastic images wherever you are. I'm actually doing a talk next year at SWPP, which is the Society of Wedding and Portrait Photographers, and I'm talking about my setup here and how I use it to shoot portrait anywhere, regardless of the conditions and the circumstances. So without any further ado, I will show you how I set it up. And if you notice, the way everything's built using Trekpak is it's specifically customized to the components I keep. So if you, for instance, you had a different setup, you can use Trekpak to totally customize it. It's absolutely phenomenal. Probably one of the smartest bit of kits in terms of customizing your cases to get out and about. Everything is custom built. So this is an additional USB. So I'm using a Mac from 2014. It's only got 2 USB outs. So I can use this to increase the amount of USB ports that I have, which is great if people need to charge their phones and all that sort of jazz. And the space I've created is perfect for it. It's also perfect for sticking my hard drive in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I set this all up and use it. So first of all, take my camera out. What I would then do is open Yay Old Mac, which is cool. And then what I've also done is the Tethertools have got a solution here. So I've put one of the smart catches here. And what that allows me to do is if I take my USB and I plug it into there, I then connect those, which means if my USB gets jerked, it's not gonna damage my computer. It's fixed into that location, which is absolutely great. From there, I would take my iPad mini. I would also then connect my hard drive. So let me just get in. Cool, okay, so I've got Capture One already open, which is fantastic. So from here, what I would do is open my ports on the side and just plug this in. So what I've got on the A7R2 is an extra little catch basically. So it's an adapter that comes with the camera, and what it allows you to do is to connect devices like this without putting any pressure on the actual camera. So if I was to snag the cable, it won't pull from the camera and damage the USB port. So it comes with the camera, really useful bit of kit. I would massively encourage using it, especially if you're shooting tethered. So switch that on like so. And what should happen is it will say USB mode connecting, fantastic. Cool, so I'm back in the game. Apologies for that. I was having a bit of an issue connecting camera to Capture One, and I couldn't work out why. And I've recently reset my camera, and where I'd reset it, I basically hadn't changed the USB input method. So you have to change it to PC or change it to auto, so it's recognised, but I've sorted that out now, so it's all good. So if I take you back, so I'm going to close this and just take you from the absolute beginning, just so you guys know. So if that's closed, cool. So I've connected my camera with the Tethertools. Tethertools, just amazing. If you're going to tether, this is the solution you want to use. So it's all connected. Then what I will do is I will open Capture One. Now I used to use Lightroom and have to use a third-party piece of Sony software called Sony Remote, and that would be an in-between layer, kind of like a translator, so the camera can talk to Lightroom. and it was so unreliable. It was painful and embarrassing if you were with a client. So I got to the point where I was just like, do you know what, I need a better solution. And I looked at what was available, and that's when I come across Capture One, and was just like, you know, I used the 30-day trial and was blown away. And then off the back of that, just pretty much started using it. I still use Lightroom and I still use Photoshop because I think there is a place for using all three of the softwares. Capture One has just released Capture One Pro 11, which is meant to be amazing. I'm going to download the update and then I'll be able to give you some input on how it performs in comparison. So what I've got here is a panel that asks me whether I want to start a new catalogue or a new session. Because I'm tethering, I would always do new session. So this would be my new session here. I'm going to open. Cool. Once that's open, it's going to ask me upgrade Capture One. Don't want to do that or hang fire. So straight away, it's read my camera, okay? And for demonstration purposes, I've stuck it on auto so I don't have to faff around. But it's read my camera. It understands all the settings that are available. If I was to take a picture here, snap that, what should happen is it will come directly into Capture One, which is amazing. Like, that's so good in terms of response. So if you are working with a client and you take a picture, what I tend to do is have this open and they can see it and it's visible. And the reason I have this open is we can both come around together, we can look at the images together, and we understand where the direction of the shoot is going, and they can give me feedback and I can give them feedback on posing, and it's so much better than looking at the back of the screen. And I always say the camera is the biggest barrier between you and the talent you're taking a picture of. So coming on the same plane, staring at the same piece of software, it breaks down that barrier and builds a better relationship between you and the talent, which will help in terms of the output. What I can do from there within Capture One is I can edit it. You know, I can go straight in and start looking at editing this image, so I can bring up the exposure, I can take it down all within one piece of software. So say for instance I'm doing a moody portrait and I'm using a beauty disc with a grid and it's really dark, then they go, oh, it's a bit dark. I can go in and show them what it will look like in post-production before having to actually edit the images, which are amazing. And you can work through your whole workflow within this one piece of software, which is just phenomenal, like absolutely phenomenal. Then from there, one of the other things I do, which I think is pretty amazing, is I go and create a network. So I'm going to call it Luke's MacBook Pro, create that bad boy there, take my iPad, and then what I'm going to do with my iPad is I'm going to look for this network. If you give me 2 seconds, it just takes a little bit of time to set up. So, because I'm at home, it's already connected to my home network. So let me just disconnect all, create my own network, and then I'm going to go in and find that network on my iPad. Bear me 2 seconds. Cool. What one do I want? Luke's MacBook. Join always. Cool. So now my iPad is connected to my Mac by this closed address. What I can do is if I go into Capture Pilot, I can then go down to Capture Pilot here, and I can go in and I can go Start Image Server, put in my password. Cool. Now what should happen is if I put this next to each other, and technology being good as technology should be, give it 2 seconds. I'm just going to place that one next to there. As soon as I take a picture, I'm just going to choose my session. Yep, that one there. As I take pictures, the images should be, there we go, available on both iPad and my MacBook. Now, why is that useful to me? Because I can give this iPad to someone's manager, or I can give it to somebody else involved in the shoot, and they can automatically look at the images and go, oh yeah, actually cool, 5-star that, and they like that image. And I know in my workflow later on, I've got all the information I need to be able to speed up the process. If they 1-star it, I'm probably going to bin that one, you know. I'm not going to use that image or waste my time in using that image. And this is what Capture One does. Lightroom doesn't give you the ability to do it, and that's why I use this software. I think it's absolutely phenomenal. And in terms of like my kit to get about, it all just packs away in here. So, you know, I'll shut it all down. So take 2 seconds to close this, close my iPad, pop that in there. Always disconnect the hard drive properly. It's not worth risking it. That's the important part. So I'm going to cancel that. Eject that chat there. Cool, that ejects. My Tethertools pops out the side here. MacBook closes down. Hard drive hides at the back, nice and snug. Give me 2 seconds, let me just plug that. I'll just take that chap out in there. Camera. This bit just unscrews here. And this is just the complete solution. Shooting in the studio is fantastic because there's so many home comforts and you've got all the technology in it. It's a safe environment to work from. When you go on location, you don't have that luxury. So the idea behind this setup is I can basically shoot in my style wherever I want to, and I'm not limited. And that to me is so important because it means the work that I produce isn't limited either. It's always going to be as the same as it was in a studio or if it was on location. And again, my little Tethertools just pops in there. Strap my Mac up so it's nice and safe. Just pop that chap in there. Close that down. Lock the lid, and I'm good to go. So that is my Tethertools solution using the Peli 1510, the Tethertools connection, and Capture One as a solution to get all done. For me, it just means I can take my work everywhere, and I'm not limited in terms of where I end up shooting.